everybody. It's Lori with LA Thrift Junkie, and I am a reseller. I sell on Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari. My main focus is Poshmark, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the new feature called Posh Shows. So what it is very similar to the Facebook Lives that you've probably been to, or Instagram and whatnot. It's very similar to that, and in my opinion, it is a somewhat new, I've been doing this since 2018, but somewhat new way to sell your items. And I know a lot of people have brought up a lot of good points. There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of questions and concerns, and I am literally right now just going to give you my opinion. I do not know anything. I do not work for Poshmark. This is just something to open up discussion, maybe alleviate a little bit of anxiety, and just get us to talking about and maybe planning the new future of reselling. So what they did is they announced they were going to start doing live auctions on Poshmark, and last night was the very first show. And I have to tell you, and I'm going to be very, because this is my opinion, right? Just my opinion. I'm going to be frank, and I'm going to tell you I thought that it went very well. There's minor adjustments that need to be made, but let's talk about what's important. So a lot of people were very concerned when I made this first post a couple days ago when they really formally announced it, before we could really not talk about it a whole lot. But when they formally announced it, I made a post on a large group on Facebook, and it was 90% negative response. People were very upset, and I'm going to address a couple of those things that I had an opinion about. So the first thing is they feel like these auctions are going to devalue Poshmark, meaning people are not going to get what they normally would get for the normal price, what they sell things for. I can tell you that on Whatnot, because I sold on Whatnot just a little bit, and it really honestly was not for me. Now, will I still do it? Maybe, and I'm going to realize it might take me a year or two to build that on Whatnot, because Whatnot does not have the customer base for clothing that Poshmark does, okay? So I will tell you that I sold on Whatnot, and you start bids off at $3, and that might be exactly what you get for the item, especially if you're a smaller seller or whatever reason. You never know. So it could be the time you're doing it. There could be a lot of different factors. But what I did notice last night on Poshmark is the starting prices were not low like that, which I really appreciate. And people were getting near what they would get on Poshmark, especially like making offers. Some of them maybe a little bit more than what they were expecting. So I feel like that's a positive. I think that if we all, as sellers, resellers, stick together and we don't start off with $1 and $3 auctions, which we might not be able to on Poshmark. They do take $2.95 fee. So, if we kind of keep it at a reasonable rate, we will be the ones that dictate what the prices will be and whether we devalue items on Poshmark. The next thing was, well, what if somebody sells things, say a sweater for $8 at auction that they could have got $60 for, and now the comps don't line up. Like when you go to do comps, now this brand has been devalued. It's only devalued if you're going to look at that low comp. So for me, when I do comps, I will always, or even like when Poshmark suggests like the sales price, I'll take it into consideration. I'll poke on the button and see what things sold for. But you have to keep in mind that some of these people are selling things out of their closet. They're not a reseller. They're selling things for $10 that was worth $60, and people like us are the ones buying them. So that, I feel like that environment is already on every platform. My next bit of advice to you is to maybe not just do your comps just on Poshmark. Maybe you try to see what it's sold on eBay, Mercari, Poshmark. You can do Google Lens. if it is a popular enough item, and it's going to find that item, and it's going to bring up listings on Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari, and you can kind of bounce around and see. You're going to see people selling this item for $100. You're going to see people selling it for $10, and that's normal. You've got to weed out the low and the super high, okay? So you got to find that medium, and that is a normal part of comps. So that's my opinion, that I don't think it's going to devalue anything if somebody sells a Free People sweater for $8 that could have sold for $60. It just means somebody got a really good deal, and that reseller knew what they were in for when they started at $8, because as a live salesperson, you know you might not always get a bid. You might even start a Free People sweater out worth $60, and that's like a low amount, honestly, but and started at 8 and nobody bids. I mean, that happens, and that's normal. The next thing I want to talk about is there is a lot of people that I think that they feel like that this live sales is going to eliminate listing. Like they are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go live. I'm shy. I don't have the time. This isn't my thing. No, please don't think that normal listing and how people search and buy is going to go anywhere anytime soon anyways. Like there will be more and more progress as the years go by. Things might go away, but it's not anytime soon that that's going to happen. And here's why. An auction is very much a spontaneous thing, okay? It's people that like to shop. It's people that get caught up in that moment that might not have bought anyways, but they're like, Becky Sue's getting that for $12, bid, and they just bought something that they really wasn't looking for, okay? So that's how the auctions work. Could you imagine you needed career clothes? Say you wanted a specific Everlane dress shirt. Are you going to go to 20 auctions to try to find somebody selling that shirt? No, you are not. You're still going to search, and you're going to you're going to buy the item from somebody that has it listed the regular way on Poshmark, because you're not going to want to go to auctions to find that one shirt, right? So I don't feel like reselling is changing in that area. I think that if you don't want to do these lives, it will not impact you in that way. Now, we all need to wait and see how it impacts us as sellers, how it impacts the platform, if it slows down our activity as a regular seller. That's still yet to be seen, and I hope Poshmark takes that into consideration and takes care of those issues if they arise. Okay, the other option that I saw, or the other issue that I saw, a lot of people were very, very, very upset. I mean, like, it was pretty negative, to be honest. And I was very defensive because I love Poshmark. I love this idea. I spoke with Poshmark about this idea in March and April. I was very passionate about them doing it and getting their hat in the arena. So I'm definitely a supporter of this. But people were very upset because I said Poshmark has not fixed the search yet, because we go back and, well, for me, it was January. So it depends on when you got put in that A or B group, right? For me, it was January. Our sales began to drop, and they dropped for me dramatically. And through help of other resellers, through research, through practice, and just trying to figure out what worked, I did get my sales back up. And I do have a lot of videos about that. You can go and check out on the Poshmark. I think it's like Poshmark Raise Sales or something like that playlist. And you can check those out if you want to. But I did do a lot of things to raise my sales back up. But one thing that doesn't help is Poshmark search. So I have a good PFF. Her name is Jonah. I need to ask exactly how to pronounce it because we only talk online, right? So we called her Joe tonight on the Zoom. So I'm going to say Joe. So I have a friend named Joe. She's a closet consultant, and I spoke to her back when my sales were really bad. Like, she seemed to be being very negative, very frustrated, because I was kind of like, I'd done one of the first Zoom calls about this with Poshmark because I was very boisterous. I was not going to leave well enough alone. I just had a very successful business. I was very dependent on this business. This is all that I do. And just like overnight, like a light switch, the sales stopped. And I wasn't just going to go out and get a job, and I wasn't going to just go. I mean, I'm already on eBay and Mercari, so it's not like I could do, another big platform because I'm already on those two. And it takes months to build something, so I knew I needed to figure something out with Poshmark, so I did talk to them. But back to my friend Joe. Okay, sorry about that interruption. I actually had somebody come out to get something to ship, which is good. We need to get things shipped out. But back to my friend Joe. So I talked to her in the very beginning, and she gave me some advice on how to make my descriptions longer, okay? And that's how we met. So she's a closet consultant. You need to go find her if you don't know who she is and have a closet consultation because it's worth its weight in gold. But what she told me and taught me is how to search on Poshmark. So you got to use a lot of drop downs. People don't have time nor want to do that, right? So they get on there and they look in the search box and they type in whatever it is they're looking for, and they expect to be able to find it. I hear you, you guys. I hear you. That is very aggravating. Please keep in mind, I know something changed with Poshmark. I don't know what changed, but it didn't just change on Poshmark. It changed much, much more dramatically. But it also changed on eBay as well. So I don't know about you guys, but I used to do comps, and I would always Google search my comps. And when I would do my comps, I would see Poshmark show up first every time. And I was always so proud of that. And that doesn't happen anymore. Now, honestly, I see ThreadUp and Mercari a little bit more. But something's changed further than just Poshmark. There's also been a Google change. And if you look into that, I don't know a lot about it, but I can tell you that Google changed how things search because they are revamping Google Shopping. Google is in control of most of our internet. Most of us use that as a browser, right? Especially shoppers. So Google is routing people differently. So I do think that Poshmark absolutely needs to get, I think it's AIP, APAI. I don't even know what it's called. It's like artificial intelligence something. So they do need to get that. That's my opinion. They also need to get more servers so that we have less clogging of the feed now that everybody can share and share and share. I'm hearing what you guys are saying, but auctions is a great opportunity. Here's why. I'm going to give you just a few things that why I think that these auctions are going to do well. And then we'll talk about this even more, okay? So this is why I think it's great. I sell vintage. I sell things that might be over the top unique. Maybe I have bohemian things that it doesn't, especially black, doesn't show off as well in photos as it does video. Here is your opportunity to show these items that are hard to sell because the photos are hard to get. When you're showing them live, people can see it. You can talk about the touch. You are going to be free flowing, not sitting typing, trying to think of how many keywords can I come up with in this description. That's important to do when you list. But when you're doing a live auction, it comes naturally, and you can talk to your customers and you can show this lace up front or up close. You can do all those things to show off your item. It's doing two things. It's going to make the item more sellable because you're able to describe it very well and entice a customer that's right there thinking about buying. Second of all, you are showing off your personality to potential future customers that are going to follow your closet, maybe come back and shop at a later date because now they've gotten to know you. They feel like they can trust you more. Okay, and here's the big thing for resellers. I don't know if you guys are paying attention to the fact that Whatnot is absolutely booming because a lot of people hate it. I get it, okay? I get it. It's very clicky. It's very different. It's all these things, but it's succeeding. And Poshmark, I feel like, has a chance for clothing resellers to blow this out of the water. I think it's a great opportunity. Okay, so what I was basically saying is Whatnot's blowing it out of the water. People are making good money on Whatnot, and they do pretty much have to have a good following. Not always. People can build it. If you have a good personality and good items, you can build it, and they do. But what it does for you when you're getting a little bit less Okay, but think about the fact that you can do these auctions every 30 seconds to 1 minute, and you have 30 minutes to do auctions. You can auction off, say, up to 50 items in about 30 to 45 minutes. What if you was to sell all 50 of those items for 50% off of what you was going to get for it if it sat and sat and sat? Or even if it was going to sell 3 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now. You now have cleared out inventory, and you're choosing what you want to auction. So it's not like people are going to make you bring your very best item that you know you can get very good money for. So you're going to be clearing out your items faster. Even though you're getting less for it, you're getting paid faster, which means you can get new inventory in that might sell even better, or for more profit. You are opening up opportunities to sell more items. So don't be nervous about this. Now, let's talk about what I mentioned earlier. There are people that are scared to death to be in front of the camera. You're probably not going to believe this, but I'm one of them. I know I do YouTube videos, and if I have to talk publicly, I do. I take a deep breath and I just go, and the whole time I'm in an anxiety attack. Now, when I'm talking on YouTube, or like right here, this is different. You guys aren't right here talking to me. I can hit that pause button, pew, just like that anytime I want to, like I have several times during this conversation. When you're live, you can't do that. But let me tell you something. Once you hit that live button and you've done this show a few times, it's going to be like an old hat. You're going to get used to it. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. But here's the biggest thing. Nobody is making you do this. Don't feel the pressure to do this if you don't want to. If this is not your thing, if it's not what you want to do, if you don't have time for it, if there's other obstacles in your way from doing this, it is just another option. It's an a la carte option, right? So there's closet clear out. I have never used it. They don't force me to use it. I'm not going to use it. There's bundling deals I use every single day, but you don't have to, and maybe that's not part of your business model. So don't feel like you're being left out. Don't feel guilty if you don't want to do it, but also if you do, don't worry about being shy, because what you're going to do as you do these shows is you're going to find your tribe, and they're going to make you feel good, and they're going to support you and cheer you on and buy things. And when you see that money coming in, that shyness just might go right out the door, okay? All right, you guys, as things develop and there are either new features or issues or more news, I'm going to be sure to come out and talk about this, because I absolutely support Poshmark. Thank you so much for doing this. And Manish, let me tell you a very special thank you, because one thing I did notice last night at these live shows is he was in there bidding with people, and he was buying things. And what was so cool is people were bidding against him, and I just know that he was having so much fun with that. So thank you so much for everything you've done for all of us. No matter how much we gripe and complain and how much we want more, just know the only reason we want more is because of what you gave us so far has been so good. We do want you to fix search and a few more things, but I'm sure you'll get to that eventually. All right, you guys, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.